Hey guys, and welcome back to the Pennies to Pounds podcast with your host Kia. And this is the podcast where we aim to dispel your myths, simplify difficult financial jargon, and rectify your own personal problems. Happy Monday, everyone. I'm so happy, as I am every week, to bring you another amazing episode. And this episode is all around building wealth and personal growth. Two of my favorite topics in the world because I think they're so important and they're not covered enough. So we're going to do just that in today's episode with my special guest. Guest, who are you?
Hey, I'm Sammie. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I'm super excited to have you.
I have been looking forward to this for a long time.
For a long time.
Yeah.
Right. So, Sammie, for people who don't know who you are, tell us who you are.
Yeah, so I'm the founder of Up the Gains. We're a personal finance education platform helping people understand money, removing the jargon, and really just getting to what actually people want to know. So really the crux of it is investing, building wealth, money management, saving, all of the good personal finance topics that, you know, we cover on these types of things.
All of the good things that the people want to know.
Yeah.
And I know in particular, we're going to cover wealth building, which is a big thing. I don't know about you, but I know growing up, there was always this thing about, you know, make sure you have wealth, make sure you've got that generational wealth. But there was never really an explanation of what wealth is. So let's start off. What actually is wealth, Sammie?
It can mean a multitude of different things, but for me, it's the freedom and choice. That's what wealth means to me. And you need money to do those things often. So money is a byproduct of wealth for me. So it very much varies when you ask that question. Everybody has a different question. Some people just go, yeah, it's a millionaire. I want to be a millionaire. Mm-hmm. And other people say, actually, no, wealth is like having time freedom to be with my family. They don't even mention the word money. So it's very interesting. It can be both sides. But for me, it's time freedom and choice. But money is the byproduct to allow me to do that. So that's my wealth.
I agree. I think mine as well is time freedom. I think life can be so busy, but I want to be able to do the things that I want to do. So that's one thing for me. But how can someone decide what wealth means to them? Like, what does that look like? Because I know if you look online, there's been an emergence of so many different creators. You know, we come cryptocurrency, we have so many different types of investments that everyone wants to jump on because it's wealth building. But how can someone decide what's actually right for them?
Well, everybody's unique, and that's the first thing when it comes to personal finance. Like if you lined 1 million people up today and looked at their budgets, I guarantee you there wouldn't even be one the exact same as the other. So accepting that about yourself first is the first being. So self-acceptance. Who am I? What money type am I? Am I a big spender? You know, these types of things. And then you can then start to see what you perhaps are interested in. Some people like complete risk off approach. Other people like the thrill and the risk of taking more. But it also depends on where you are in your life cycle as well. Like if you're 25, you're going to be taking a lot more risk to the person who's 55, where you've got retirement coming up soon and you need to be thinking about kind of keeping your cash rather than perhaps taking some risk with it. So I very simply have like what I call the 5-year rule. And it's just such an easy framework for managing your money. So 5 years or less, everything in there is saved. And then 5 years or more is invested. So when you look at it like that, it becomes quite easy when you say I'm saving and investing £100. I'm going to split my money up like that because then it just allows you just to be straight and honest with yourself and quick as well. Because when it comes to finance, there's a lot of jargon out there. There's a lot of different frameworks and different techniques and rules. But actually the 5-year rule is just so simple. Okay, I'm going to save this because I don't want to take any risk with this money for the next 5 years, i.e. that could be my house deposit, my new car, my holiday or whatever that is. I'm not going to risk that money. But my 5 years or more money, that's for me paying myself in the future. It's a day that I don't have to work, etc. So that's what I do.
I love that breakdown because I think I'm so goal oriented. So I always think that far ahead. And I think for people who don't know how to split up their money, that's a really good way to really just evaluate what it is that you want to achieve and in what time frame.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people, I'm sure you have the same thing too. People come to me and say, I have this amount of money. What should I do with it now? And I think that helps to just kind of put it in perspective as to what you should do with that money. I want to come back to something you mentioned earlier, and that's money types, right? So what exactly does that mean? Because I feel like before you can decide what's right for you when it comes to your money, you need to understand how you view money and how you spend it. So can you explain to us a bit more about money types?
Yeah, absolutely. On my podcast, I ask people this question, and that's what your relationship like with money growing up, because actually it's a really good indicator of how somebody reacts to money. We're all savers. Some people we're not all savers. Let's change that narrative right now. Some people are savers, some people are spenders, some people like to stash money away and not take any risk with it, and understanding that about yourself, and then perhaps allowing yourself to step out of your comfort zone. So if you're a spender, saving is generally out of your comfort zone because you're used to just getting rid of your money as soon as it comes, that paycheck to paycheck mentality. But if you're a saver, you might not necessarily like taking risk to invest. So understanding who you are and your relationship with money from the ground up is often the first thing to do, because I truly believe that 90% of money management is in the mind. The rest is really actually quite simple. You can just follow a very simple plan and steps of wealth, step 1, step 2, step 3, as you just move up the wealth chain. That really doesn't change. There's different techniques in all of that to get to those places, but that actually everything's upstairs. So getting your mind right first and then moving on from there is often the best place to start.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, because I think I always talk about myself when I was at university, because that was when I had the knowledge, but I was so frivolous because I was young and I was around people who were doing the same thing. And I know I was in that mindset. I was definitely a spender. Even though I knew best to save, I was definitely a spender. But it is, like I said, it's changing that mindset towards money. And it's when I was coming towards the end of my university experience and I was like, you know what? You're going to go back into the real world and we need to change how you view money, because, in university, it feels like you're in this like little bubble of just living life and enjoying. And then when you come out of it, you realize. So I like the fact that you said you really need to just tap into that mindset part. When it comes to people who actually want to build wealth, what are some of the steps that they can take to either embark on that journey for the first time or continue building on that journey?
Yeah, I love this question, because a lot of people come to me and they say, hey, I've got 10 grand and I want to do something with it. And it's like, yeah, great. But have you made the steps to secure yourself first? And often they haven't even thought about that. So step one is let's say, for example, you've got some debt, we'll just very quickly get through that, but get to net zero as soon as possible. Before investing, before saving, get to net zero. And then once you're at that point, don't then suddenly start thinking, hey, I'm going to go and invest. Secure yourself so you don't move backwards. So an emergency fund, gurus out there will tell you 3 to 6 months. Everybody seems to say that. And I don't disagree with them. But actually, if people want to feel like they're making progress, often just getting the first £500 or the first grand or the first month's paycheck done is a great place to start. And then what I say from them from there is then you might change some of your allocations. Percentages might go, let's say we use that £100 again. You might say, I'm going to put £30 towards my emergency fund, and the £70 is going to go towards my savings and investments. So you're still moving forward, but then you're also saving, you're also investing. So you feel like you're making progress at the same time, because people, for some reason, their mentality about emergency funds, they don't feel like they're making progress. But actually, 90% of the people that I've spoken to or work with on a day-to-day, once they get their emergency fund together, it's like a huge weight is off their shoulders. And why? It goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning. It's the choice. Suddenly, if your boss walks in and starts screwing at you, you've got 6 months of pay there, you start looking at him a little
You're like, I could actually leave today if I wanted to. Financially, I'm covered to do so.
I'm covered. I can walk out. I know I'm going to get a job in 2 months' time. So yeah, I'm going to use my emergency fund because that's what it's there for. I built it. Suddenly you've got choice. You walk differently, you feel differently, you've got a different swagger about you when you've got an emergency fund there together, because you feel like you can bat off the day-to-day stuff that life just seems to all throw at us. So yeah, that's the big step for me. Get your emergency fund ticking and going, and then start to look at savings and investing, utilizing that 5-rule system that I have. Basically, I start with a why. So why are we doing this? Really, why isn't an actual monetary goal. The goal comes after the why. So the why is the feeling. So for me, it's time, freedom, positivity, creativity. I want these things around me. So everything, all my goals are monetary goals which feed those 3 feelings. So then you've got a 1 year, 5 year, and an ultimate goal. I change my 5 year and ultimate goal every year because life happens to us with different things. We start having kids, the car blows up, whatever that might well be.
Yeah.
These things.
Yeah, I've had that. Oh.
Exactly. You get stuck on the motorway. You're like, okay, I need to reevaluate my goals because it's going to cost me some money, right? So these things change people's lives. So that 1 year goal can be quite flexible. And then I work backwards. What can I do today? What can I do this week? What can I do next month? And really what I like doing is just creating little positive loops around my money because, as I say, we go back to the mindset thing. That mindset thing is so powerful. And once you start doing little good habits, it's like we're so animalistic. Like it's like stroke the bear sort of stuff. But if we treat ourselves in that way and we keep stroking ourselves, that sounds weird. I'm so sorry.
I know what you're trying to say. We get what you're trying to say. We get what you're trying to say. But yeah, if you basically just like reward yourself for making those steps, then you feel like you're actually making progress.
Exactly. I'm blushing here now. You got me.
We know what you meant to say. But I love the fact that you broke it down like that because a lot of people, and it can feel very overwhelming. I think for you and I, we do this day to day. So to us, it's just like bread and butter.
Yeah.
But for anyone who's trying to start this for the first time, it can feel overwhelming and almost feel a bit boring. I think sometimes finances and money is portrayed as something boring. Like it's necessity. Like you need to do it. But like many things in life that you need to do, you probably want to put it off. Yeah. You want to procrastinate. I know I can procrastinate when I'm reading things that aren't that exciting. But I think those small rewards along the way and like making those small milestones, when you hit them, you feel like, okay, I'm ready for the next step. And it keeps you motivated along that journey, 100%. Let's now switch to personal growth. This is something that I'm very big on. I know you are too. But what is personal growth?
So for me, Steve Jobs had a quote, never stop learning. And that's like the biggest thing for most people. And I had it. So I hit 18. Basically, I breezed through school. I was one of those kids that just didn't try very hard, but did really well. I don't know why. It's just the way my brain was. And like once I hit 18, for some reason in my head, I hit that like, I know everything. And so I stopped moving forwards. And it was only in my late 20s when I realized that, I went through a bit of debt after university. I say a considerable amount, but it was that piece of self-acceptance. And what would happen is that in that period of time where I was making negative financial decisions, I just stopped learning and growing as a person. And I was just actually just going through the mill and just keeping up with the Joneses. We were young and like, I can't beat myself up about it. It's just the way that things were. But once I started putting growth mindset into my day to day, it changed everything for me. So just embracing things that you want to learn and investing in yourself will always pay the most dividends. I'm sure we've all heard that quote and it's so, so powerful. Simply because like I do an example, Dave earns £15 an hour. He goes home and does an evening course, costs him £1,000. And then he earns £22 an hour when he passes that course at the same job. He just leveled up in the evening. He took it upon himself. He's now earning 47% more than he did before. However, if you were to invest in the stock market, it would take you years probably to get to that 47%.
Yes.
But you can do that in under a few months in a lot of cases. So that's a simple case of investing in yourself will pay the most dividends. So
absolutely. Yeah. I completely agree with you. I think I love learning. I love reading books. I love learning. And it was like you when I left university, because I think you go through this period of compulsory education, especially in the UK, where you have to learn. Yeah. Whether you like it or not, you have to learn. And then, if you're like myself, I went to sixth form, then I went to university, and then you leave, and now you don't have to learn. You can choose to never learn again if you don't want to. But I almost felt like I wanted to keep going. And I learned so many different things. I could bore everyone with the amount of things that I taught myself or I was sought out, from illustrating to video editing to learning how to languages. I've done so many things, right? But they've all taught me different lessons, and a lot of them that I use to this day. But I want to then ask you mentioned why it's important, but why should someone who perhaps hasn't really seen it as a priority start to focus on their personal growth in whatever they're doing in life?
Yeah, because for me, if you're not moving forwards, you can get yourself into quite sort of the same Groundhog Day territory, and then all of a sudden it might not feel like it now, but it will catch up with you, and all of a sudden you'll be in this kind of like, I'm lost. What happened to the last 10 years of my life? What did I do? However, if you really do go for something, and this is very different for everybody, because the person with a mortgage and 2 kids is going to be like, yeah, whatever, Sammie, like I have no time for myself. But the answer is you do need to make some time for yourself. So if that means taking an extra hour before the kids gets up, that's what you're going to have to do to get over that. But definitely do that, and definitely take that time to work towards something, whatever that might well be. If it's a hobby, great. Like you need a reason to get up in the morning, and everything's hard. We just get better at it.
Yes.
It's just the way of life, right? So do it, and do it over and over again, because when you first made your first video, when I made my first video, oh my God, it was horrendous.
Pants.
Right? I'm 250 in now.
Yeah.
I'm getting better.
Yeah.
And so like that's taken 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm not stopping. So that's the train that you jump on, and it's the train of life. So either you're on or you're not. And so that's a decision that you need to make, but you'll know when that happens to you. But some people would listen to this and be like, well, I'm enjoying my life, and great, because they've got a reason, they've got a why. But continually trying to forward yourself, even in those positions, often leads to better paychecks. It leads to better life decisions, better holidays, these types of things, just because your mind is working in that forwards mentality rather than thinking, you know, back when I was 18, I had some great memories. That's not a life. Like,
No, it's
think
not.
forward.
Absolutely. I have vivid memories of both my parents at different points in my life embarking on some sort of evening something.
Yeah.
So like, you know, I'd be picked up from school, I'd do my own homework, and then afterwards my mom's doing her homework for her thing. Or like my dad is coming back later because he's gone to this school to go learn this. Both were obviously to increase themselves, obviously with their growth and financially, so they can apply for, you know, higher paying jobs. But you don't see it in that moment, but those are the sacrifices that they chose to make. But as a child, I'm not really factoring it in. But like you said, it is about making that time, and they made that time. So whilst, you know, maybe myself and my brother were getting ready for bed because we're younger, Mom was like, right, okay, I want to take another hour to do her thing.
Yeah.
And then obviously that works out in her favor. So there's always time. It's just about finding that time. And if you actually sit down, like I've had a look at my screen time, and I've been actively working to bring that down. It is horrendous, Sammie.
I'm the same.
Mine is so bad. And when I see it, I'm like, that is so many hours in a day that I could have used towards reading a book, to taking a course, to listening to something that's going to really teach me, like a podcast or anything that I'm now using probably to scroll on social media. Or if you're like me, I like playing games on my phone. That's probably where I'm wasting. I love games on my phone. I love.
Really?
Yeah, I need
have
to be in a
delete
band.
them all.
I know, I need to do that. I need to be
I'm
on a band.
obsessive, so I'll just go and go and go.
That's me. But it's just so many hours. Like, you know when people say they haven't got time? Yeah. There is time, and it's just factoring that in. So let me ask you then, what are some ways, I'm going to break it down into two. So what are some ways that people can look to grow when it comes to their financial literacy and their financial education? So how can they develop in that sense?
Great question, because it is overwhelming. There's a lot of creators out there now, and Instagram is a great place to start, actually, for a lot of people, just because you use it every day. You know, we're all on Instagram, so finding some good creators out there, myself, you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good start. But if you're listening to this, then you're a podcast listener, and actually that's one of the biggest ways that I learn. I'm very much an audio first learner, and some people like watching YouTube videos. I like YouTube, but I don't necessarily learn as well from that. I like that kind of hour-long podcast where someone can dive deep into that topic, and I walk away from that. So establishing what type of learner you are. Some people like reading, so pick up a book, and there's some fantastic books out there or great blogs. Up the gains. And that was for me a big decision when I started the business. It was like people like listening, they like watching, and they like reading. So how I had to play in all three of those to actually change someone's life. So understanding that about yourself is really, really important. And then go out and seek the best in those areas. Like Google's a fantastic place, best podcasts, best personal finance YouTube channels, best X, Y, and Z. And you're going to find and stumble upon people that you relate to. But if you don't relate to the first couple of 2-3 people that you come across, don't let that finish it, because there's someone out there for you that you're really going to click with. And that for me was a guy called JD Roth. He was actually an American, but just his way of thinking and his simple pathway. He's got a fantastic audio series, how to get financially independent. And it changed my life, and I always like revert back to that when I'm, you know, when things come off the rails a little bit. I always go back to that, because life happens.
Life does happen, very much so, whether you like it or not. Yeah. No, I love that. I think it is so important. And when you mentioned finding someone that resonates with you, I think that's for anyone who knows why I started. That's part of why I started. I was online at like 19, 20, and I couldn't really find anyone who either looked like me or had similar life experience to me to actually learn about money. Obviously, I found some people that I was like, okay, I can watch these people, but there wasn't really someone who resonated with me, which is why I started Pennies Pounds, obviously. But it is so important to find someone who you feel like you can relate to in some way, because you're actually going to listen to what they say. 100%. You know, if it's someone who, I don't know, if you take London, lives in central London and is rich and is telling you about money, you might say, I'm not going to listen to this person because they just don't understand my lifestyle and where I've come from. So you want to find someone who you can actually relate to and obviously learn from. Yeah. You and I are good places to start, but there are so many people out there. Yeah. Right, now to the other part of the question, in terms of personal growth in general, what are ways that people can, you know, take, whether it's courses or looking online, to actually build up themselves in different aspects?
Yeah, so once you've kind of identified what it is you want to do, next step for me is about networking and finding yourself either kind of colleagues within the space that you can kind of banter with and talk about these things, because your old friends are going to look at you like, what the hell are you doing? And they're not going to get it. So you need to kind of go through this period of like attracting your new tribe and your new tribe. You've left the old tribe and now you're moving into the new one. That's kind of like that old school, like human mentality that we have. But a mentor is a massive, massive thing. I've had one my whole life. And if I don't have one in that area that I go into, I go and seek one. And so spending some time really asking the questions, what's it take? Like, you know, what do I need to do? What resources can I tap into? And often they find that they will actually just pour themselves into you. And that can just be so valuable for you. You might then decide this isn't for me, but after being on this journey, a section of what I thought it was is. So now I'm moving into that direction. And you'll be amazed at where you end up when you go down that pathway. But utilize people, communities. There's events in every city for entrepreneurs. There's like personal finance events online almost every single day.
Literally, there's so many all the time.
Exactly. So like if you really want to learn, being online is just such a great place to start, and then going to make some sort of human-based connections. I've got hundreds of just online friends. I've never met them. But I talk to them like I know them. Yeah. And we like literally are proper mates. And if we met up, like it wouldn't be awkward. It'd be so like normal because just talk to them all the time. So yeah, there's different communities now, and we live in a technology-based world. So get yourself out there.
That's it. And one thing I always believe in is shooting your shot. If there's someone that you want to connect with, someone that you're inspired by, someone that you want to just be around,
100%,
just send that message. And I think people are very scared, but we live in an era where you're not that far removed from anyone. You could literally send a message, and it might be in their request box, but chances are that if they go through it, they will find your message. And if it's, if they feel like they want to respond, they can. Whereas before, our parents and their parents used to have to send a letter and hope for the best. It's going to go to the right place, so they're not even going to open it. You have no idea. But
P.O. box.
You know what I mean? But social media makes it so easy. Yeah. So easy. And I've had people even reach out to me who want to meet up. And I've got friends now who are people who just sent a DM one day and hoped for the best. Yeah. And now years down the line, we're really good friends. You know, I pour into them, they pour into me. So you never know what could come from any message at any point.
Love that.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I love social media for that.
And jump on LinkedIn as well. Like,
LinkedIn's my favorite. Yeah.
If you're like looking for a job, or you're applying for a job, or you want to like go and see what's going on, go and add these people, man. Like everyone accepts, and they actually enjoy talking about it because it's the industry that they're in.
Yeah, and what I find as well, there's been periods of my life where I've done contracts and been in jobs for periods of time, and I think all of them bar one have not been advertised online.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, they've been because I've known someone, or I met someone at an event and they found me impressive, or because I've been on LinkedIn and they like my content and like, let's have a chat, let's have a coffee. And then now...
You're great at LinkedIn.
Thank you. I've had to learn how LinkedIn works because it can be confusing and daunting if you're not on there.
It's hard.
It is. Yeah. I'm not going to act like it's not. It took me a while, but I'm like, okay, I understand
If anyone wants it, you are the blueprint.
Thank you. But honestly, I remember I even had someone create a job role around me.
Oh, see, wow.
Because they bought into me and they were like, we want you to be here. So what is it that you'd like to do here? And that just goes to show how much networking can really get you into rooms.
It's mad.
Yes, it's crazy.
Yeah. So Daniel Precy talks about this. He's an amazing person. I 100% recommend anybody wanting to start a business, go and check out his podcast episode. It's like 3 hours at Ali Abdaal, but it changes your life. But he talks about if you're not in the right room, change the room. So, and also you should never be the smartest person in that room. So if you are the smartest person in that room, change that room immediately and go and upgrade your room. And you will find that your life changes rapidly with it. So changing your rooms is one of the biggest things that you can do. And as I said, it's almost like that leaving the tribe thing. Your old mates will stay your mates, but often you're just going to chat about old times with them and enjoy things, enjoy life. And you need a support network around you, but your mum, even your other half isn't going to know what you're doing. And it probably is going to be like, what the hell are you doing? But this is a journey that you need to go on. So personal growth is massive if you just change the room.
Yes, absolutely. I think I've been on such a journey. So this is my 5th year doing personal finance content. It's been a long time, but it is that thing of having to put yourself out there and be in different rooms.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said, when I realized and when I heard that, you can't be the smartest person in your group of friends or in the room, I was like, okay, if I want to reach the next level, you can't be the top already. You need to be in a place where you feel like you're at the bottom, because that's going to motivate you to want to do better.
Exactly.
And yeah, it is so crucial. When it comes to then learning online, there are loads of resources out there that people can use to get their learning started. What would you say for anyone who wants to go online and just, take a course? What does that look like?
Take a course, yeah. To be honest with you, I feel like increasing income right now is probably the most important thing you should be looking at doing. We've been squeezed left, right and centre, mortgage rates, cost of living, all of that jazz. We've all had these buzzwords thrown at us, but it is ridiculously tough right now for people. And so often finding a way online to increase your income, whether that be through a side hustle or even a full-blown online business that you go and jump into, is actually, for me, very, very important for people to be looking at right now, because things are changing so rapidly. We've got AI coming into the workspace, which is going to extremely change the landscape and what we're currently facing. I don't want to worry people here, but I do feel like you need to be securing yourselves and your families in the best way that you possibly can. So side hustling for me was a massive thing when I was deep in debt. And when I came out of university, my salary was going to take me years to get out of it. So I side hustled my way through it. And then I've side hustled my way into investments. So all my profits just go into my investments. So even if you use your side hustles to level up your investments, I feel that's a great place to start. So looking online for ways to increase your income right now for me is massively important.
So what are some examples of side hustles that people can do? Because I think the big thing that I always hear is side hustles are great, but I don't have the time.
Yeah.
Because they all seem quite time consuming. And yes, there are some time consuming ones. But what are some side hustles that people can have a look at?
Yeah, you can go and make money now in 15 minutes from an online survey. Sitting there with Netflix on, if you're want to binge a series, but also with your laptop on, just pressing yes or no on some multiple choice based survey questions, just earning a few quid like that. You can do that right away. I really like website testing. I do that often. I get some really good jobs through. I'm a bit more selective now because I don't need the money as much as I used to. And then also, so you've got online surveys, website testing, mystery shopping's amazing. You've got apps now you can download and literally be on the street and there'll be jobs pop up on them. So you can go and do those types of things. They're side hustles, which they're what I call a side hustle. So people get the YouTube, the podcasting, the blogging, they think that that's a side hustle, and it isn't. It's very much a business and an online business. To separate the two. Side hustle is something that you can just quickly go and do a few things here and there and earn a bit of extra cash. Honestly, car boots, all of those things are side hustles. You just kind of get yourself a few extra quid. So side hustling here, go and do all of these things. And many, many people are going to resonate differently with that. Some people are like, I cannot do online surveys, they drive me nuts. But I can go and do a mystery shop very easily. And it'll be vice versa. So again, just explore and understand what works for you and how you can bring money in. But the money is literally there.
The money is there.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's in abundance, right?
Yes.
When there's a lot of money out there. You just need to go and work out, do a few things. And I get so many messages like, where do I even start? And if that's the question that you're asking me, then you probably need to have a little bit of a word of yourself, because me giving you that information, I can't go and make that decision for you. You need to go out and explore, go out and learn, and go out and forward yourself. And then we can have that conversation. If you turn around to me and say, hey, Sammie, I did honest surveys, but this company wasn't good. That's a very different question to what side hustle can I do? Because it's very difficult for me to then answer that, because you're going to be completely unique.
Absolutely. I've been doing side hustles since I was 12, 13. My parents were sending me here's a survey website. There were ones specifically for kids,
oh, cool.
under 18. So I'll do that. My parents were really big on me go and get some extra cash, Kia, go and get your own money. I think they really just wanted to stop my pocket money so I could get my own. I think that's what they really wanted. But there's so many things, like you said, out there. The money is sitting there. I've done loads of user testing. I've done different surveys. Are you coming? I've gone into buildings and they've shown me stuff. What do you think about this? You use that. It's just easy money sometimes. Even 100%. Focus groups, I've done loads of focus groups. I've done so many different things. Focus groups
are brilliant.
Yeah.
I used to buy and sell trainers. I can still do that now. There's an app called Heat Movement. You can literally download that today, look at all the drops which are happening, buy them, sit on them, StockX, eBay them, 50 quid, sometimes up to like £200-300 if you're buying right. Travis Scott's, I think I made like 300 quid on one pair of trainers. So that's just being finger on the pulse.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking, like taking that, this is what I mean about taking that step. Like you've got to get that bit of fire and a bit of gut, because it's not easy.
No.
But if you get through that bit and you go and push yourself, then you can go and you'll be amazed at what you can come up with and do. So it's about just having belief in who you are, because we've all got it in us. We've all got that fire in our belly.
Exactly. All about the belief. I love that. And when you said the trainer thing, I remember my dad's got a pair of Yeezys. That he bought in 2018.
Wow, what
never
would you do
worn
with them now?
Never worn though. I know now it's kind of, I don't know, it's a bit precarious now, a bit precarious. But we checked it about 2 years ago, right? So you bought it in 2018, 2 years ago, it was like 2022. And we checked on StockX, my brother and I, and it had gone up. He would have made something like an £800 profit on those trainers because they were brand new in the box. I remember all he did was at the time buy it and say, look at these, and put it back. And put it under his bed.
Yeah, I don't actually like them.
He was like, hey, he was like, wow. And closed it and put it away again. We're like £800 unworn.
Yeah, it is mad. Like it's these
crazy.
trainers are, and it's actually really easy, like to do. If you just start, you can even Google, is this trainer going to be like a hit? And they're like, and you get yourself in all the little forums and stuff like that. And you can earn some really good money. Like I was doing 600 to £1,000 a month, and I wasn't really trying. My room would have a load of boxes in, guaranteed, but it was such a good side hustle. And you end up keeping a few.
I know, because you see something like, actually, I don't want to sell this one. I want that for myself.
Yeah. But it's fine, because you made profit.
Yeah, you made profit, so you can kind of like offset. Yeah, it's a reward. We love that.
Basically, my feet look good for a few years.
Yeah, well, I'll take that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll take that one. All right, so Sammie, before we round up, what would be your 3 tips you want to leave our listeners with regards to either building wealth or working on their personal growth?
Yeah, so building wealth for me, number 1 tip is that self-acceptance piece. Definitely go through that, because as we said, it's that 90% mindset mentality. Then once you get to that, number 2 is securing yourself. Make sure you secure yourself. I know we're going back over this, but it's so important. And then number 3, I feel like today we've spoke about saving investments. I feel like I'm going to say increasing your income. So look at ways you can increase your income and then reinvest the profits from that. Don't then say that this is for
spending and just having a good time for the short term.
Don't have that lifestyle inflation with it. Keep everything the same and reinvest that money, and you'll start to see that it's like pushing a snowball off the hill. It will tumble down. You're going to get more and more abundance, and you're going to be able to have more choice, and eventually you're going to be able to do all the things that you thought were really cool back then and some.
Amazing. Sammie, thank you so much for an amazing episode. For everyone listening and watching, where can they find you?
Yeah, so we're Up the Gains, and we're Up the Gains Money on most social platforms. We have a podcast, a website with over 300 free guides on there about money, and social media we're having a lot of fun with. Just like
you're doing really well. Really good.
It's been wild growth, man. But yeah, having a lot of fun at the moment. So come say hi. We have lots of courses to help you make money as well. So lots going on.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on. And to everyone listening and watching, we'll be back again next week with another episode. Bye, guys.